Okay, so here I am, fresh out of the shower, and I was doing some more reading because I realized that in the last video I said, hopefully I learned whatever the lesson was that I needed to learn from that breakup. Um, and I sat here doing some reading after my shower. It occurred to me to ask the question because in this book, it says that by asking the question, you are admitting that you don't know, and that's a good thing because it opens up that opportunity for a higher knowing. And so I asked the question, what was the lesson? What is the learning that I need to take away from that experience with my ex, our time together, the split, the whole thing. And here is as much of the message that I could take down. And it reads, accept that there was no cost. Accept that you both agreed to this experience. Neither is to blame. Accept it as something that happened, a game you two played with no real loser, only the opportunity to grow. You both have paid a price, so to speak. Neither of you walked away unaffected by the experience. Accept that the love that was real and true between you is what allowed the experience and your mutual beneficial growth, evolution. The love was where the agreement was made, and on that level, it is always. It is okay to find happiness in that love. It is okay to accept that even though the love is real, the game has ended and your paths are no longer the same. It is okay to not want the relationship back. It's okay to allow this to be what it is. Let go of the wish for it to be some other way than what it is. It isn't necessary for your human mind to see every nuance of this learning. Take comfort in knowing that the learning has occurred on the level that was needed. So, I guess it's just there again, this lesson, this learning is a lot about acceptance now at this point. And it's funny because, it almost seems like the learning came from the split. So there was some learning, I feel, that occurred on the level of the relationship and my desire being so strong to have this thing be what I wanted it to be, more than my willingness to see the truth, the reality in it, right? And that was something, of course, I didn't know until it ended, that I had seen what I wanted to see for as long as I could, as I stated in the other video. And so that was one learning that I was able to pick up on, was that I must allow the truth. I must allow myself to see things as they are, even when I want them to be something else. So that's has so much to do with the desires of our hearts, right? But the desire of our heart on that level is not the heart of the true self. It is not the Christed heart. It is the heart of the ego. It is the filling a space, creating something to fill a space that lack a lack, a perceived need, right? Other than accepting something as what it is and allowing that. So, and then in this part, it speaks many times about acceptance, right? So it's really interesting that as much learning occurs through the healing of the split as what it seems like occurred through the time spent together, and what was to be gleaned from that. Like, okay, now you see what doesn't work. Now you must accept that the learning was to show what doesn't work, except now that, you know, there is no fault. There is no bad guy. Because I was really feeling like I could tell, I could feel my ego holding on to the belief, the concepts, the ideas that I am good, he is bad. I am right, he is wrong. More so the good and bad for me than the right and wrong. And, you know, as I was, I think, brushing my teeth, it occurred to me that the question was raised, are you saying that he does not deserve the love that you would like for yourself? And I said, of course he deserves that. Oh, what a revelation. What a revelation. To put it on that level. That even though there was this experience that was painful and felt really bad, and, you know, that this person still deserves the amount of love that I would like for myself. And that put it into a totally new perspective. And it's really strange how that happens, because on the level of intellect, on the level of the mind, I understand that, you know, we are all equal. We are all children of God. We are all equal. And I would never want to withhold that type of love from another person, no matter what they've done. But then this came later when I posed the question, was also that I guess on some level I'm still kind of feeling guilty or beating myself up because I don't want to revisit that. I don't want to have communication. I don't want to have interaction with this person. And I feel after this message that I guess maybe I'm kind of feeling guilty that I have avoided that, but I also know that I have avoided that for my own health and well-being. So this message is all about this acceptance, is communicating very greatly to me to be accepting of myself, accepting of where I am, accepting of what it is that I need to feel well, accepting of that boundary that I need to place, and not pass judgment on myself because of it, not pass judgment on any of it, just to allow it to be. Accept that this has occurred and allow it to be what it is, and stop holding on to the desire or the wish that it was something else. Because, you know, the ego, and I can kind of feel it and hear it back there right now. The ego wants to have a reason. The ego wants to explain it, define it, you know, and what this message communicated to me was, it isn't necessary for your human mind to see every nuance of the learning. Take comfort in knowing that the learning has occurred on the level that was needed. And so that's really pointing strongly that your ego is working really hard to try and figure this out. There is nothing to figure out. It has occurred. It has happened. And in the experience, it is done. So, and it's okay that it is done. It's okay that it has turned out this way. So that's really interesting. And it's interesting, and it's interesting that it happened at this point in my life experience, because I'm not sure that I ever had like this long after a split, that I ever had these kinds of emotions still there. But it's possible that it's because I have never allowed myself this much time in between relationships. And so without the distraction of a new relationship, it's more obvious to me what's still occurring within my healing process. So that's really interesting, and I guess it took until I was well into adulthood before I got that. But having said that, I understand so many times after a breakup, people would say, "Oh, you need to wait at least 6 months. You need to wait at least 6 months before you go out there and start dating again or whatever." And I was like, I don't need that. I don't need that. Well, that was my ego talking, because what my ego needed was to get involved in another relationship, to not do the growing and the healing that needed to happen. And maybe this time, through all of this process, maybe this time that lesson has occurred. So that's really interesting. The learning has actually taken root this time. So thank you so much, Stephen, for that. So I just wanted to share that little bit of an update. And this really proves that if we sit down and ask the question, and we ask it from that place of real desire to know, the answer comes. The answer comes. And all of you can do this. All of you. It is our innate ability as children of God to ask our heavenly parents, to ask our divine parents for whatever it is that we need. And oftentimes, all we need is knowledge. How do I accomplish this? Not give it to me. How do I accomplish this? Right? They're very different prayers. To just ask that something be done for you, but to say, Father, Mother, Christ, how do I accomplish this? How can I accomplish this? Is there something else for me to do instead, right? Is this the right course? Is this the right action? Is this the right path? If this is not the right path, give me that guidance that I know it is not right for me. All of these things. But it's about empowering ourselves. And of course, that was the message of Christ always, was to know your power, stand in your power, to empower ourselves to say, not to say, Father, give it to me, but to say, show me how I might accomplish this. Show me how I might assist in this coming to fruition. I would really like for this. Show me what I can do to encourage that to come to pass. So anyway, that is pretty much it for right now. In peace and love, may you be blessed.